the Rui Lopez game today as black. Yeah, let's get to it. Cool. So basically, what I was curious about was, yeah, Rui Lopez is black. Let's take a look. All right. So Rui Lopez goes e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop to b5. Okay, and then there's a number of variations that come off of this. I guess I wanted to kind of look at the mainline variation. I didn't really want to spend too much time on, basically on the kind of sidelines. Just so we know them, this is the old Steinitz defense. This is the Morphy defense. This is the Berlin defense. And yeah, you can kind of look at different ones. Janish Gambit. Hey, good morning, Aphelion. Thanks very much for joining the stream. But yeah, I wanted to look at this Morphy defense because Morphy defense is basically the main line. Knight to f6, castles, bishop to e7. This is the closed Morphy defense. This is what I think of when I think of kind of the main line. When I think of the main line Rui Lopez, this is what I think of. So yeah, I guess I wanted to learn this theory a little bit better. And yeah, I think this should provide a good opportunity to kind of like look and go through it. So yeah, let's turn the engine on. Um, and Okay, so bishop to e7. This is basically the old, yeah, this is the closed Morphy defense. Bishop to e7, a6, and knight to f6. In this situation, white plays rook to e1. Black usually plays b5, bishop to b3, and we have basically a really well-defined main line here. If we're just looking through it, like here's the split. There's d6 for black, and there's castles for black. And basically either of them is going to provide different characteristics in an interesting game. I guess I would say I prefer castles. I think that you can hold on to the e5 pawn pretty effectively as black. But let's look at the engine eval. The engine eval is recommending d6. It's slightly better than castles. All right, let's look at d6 then. D6. This is the this basically closed Morphy defense. Castles versus d6. It's really interesting in my mind. Like honestly, I play an unusual kind of junky line against this. I play the Archangels variation with bishop to c5. And yeah, with castles you can transpose into the martial attack with d5. That gets more and more common. Sure. Okay, all right. Let's go through castles then. Or go through castles first. C3 is getting pressed, and then you have choices black here. You could either play d6, which is the closed defense, or you have d5, which is the martial attack. All right, it's up to you. The d6 is played. D6 is played about 80-90% of the time. So yeah, d6 is the more conservative side of this. On d6, you're probably going to see d4 pretty frequently. h3 also is a move for white. H3 I'm not a huge fan of. Like, I think h3 you get to kind of create hooks as black. Play g5, g4, and aggressive attacks on g4. But yeah, here white has the choice of either playing d4. This is called the Yates variation, or h3. But yeah, let's say d4 instead. So d4 is basically what you're kind of. I guess I would say you're trying to avoid the Yates variation when you're playing the martial attack. You're trying to avoid d4. But here, basically, d4 white has kind of some options here. White can play bishop to g4. This is the main move that h3 is preventing. Bishop to b7. That's an opportunity. But yeah, let's say bishop to g4. This is the main move on d4. Then white can either choose between bishop to e3 or d5. But either one of those, is not particularly, I guess I would say, is not particularly strong. Like, they're all fine. I mean, but it's not like there's a decisive win for white in this situation. Bishop to e3. Okay, bishop to b3, Bogolubov variation. Interesting, didn't know that one. How solid is the Vienna game, and how solid is the Vienna Gambit? I guess I would say the Vienna game is solid, playable at the highest level, the Vienna Gambit, the Vienna Gambit, I think, is not. I think basically the Vienna Gambit turns into something that's sort of like the King's Gambit, except King's Gambit with knight to c3, which is a fairly unhelpful move being played. We can see the eval shift. It's a really good question. Each side tries to prevent certain variations. H3 basically tries to prevent bishop to g4. And here, let's play this through a few more moves. Pawn takes, knight to a5, bishop to c2, c5. But basically, black's pushing forward. White has choices, and here, I don't know, either d takes c5 or h3. Those are opportunities for white. But I want to take a look. Let's take a look at Limestone's game. I just want to figure this out. Just because we have this opportunity. If you ask a question, I want to answer the question. So let's take a look at the Vienna game for a second. So e4, e5, knight to c3, and then here in the Vienna gambit. So like say knight to c6, f4. This is the Vienna gambit. This is basically this basically shifts the eval toward. So let's look at this. So in this situation, what's the eval? The eval is up by about 0.4, okay, for white. So white's up by about 0.4. White can play knight to f3. White can play bishop to c4. Bishop to c4 is probably one of the more common moves. It's a non-transpositional move. So yeah, knight to f3 transposes it into the three knights. Bishop to c4 keeps it into the Vienna game max lane defense. But let's look at this f4 move. That's what I'm curious about. So say f4. F4 is the max lane Vienna gambit, and I really wanted to just kind of go over this. Hey, welcome. Yeah, congratulations to Lauren. She's on the moderation team. And yeah, congratulations. Thanks everyone for being here. Thanks for being here. Yeah, if you just joined this stream, already, definitely, this is about the Max Lang variation, or this is basically about the Vienna Gambit Max Lang variation, yeah, so f4 is so slightly losing, right? Minus 0.3 for black, yeah, but Lauren JW is now on the moderation team, which is super helpful. It's great to have people looking on the moderation team. So, anyways, yeah, you sometimes play this in Blitz. Good question. So f4 basically is this Max Lang Vienna Gambit, and the most common line is, and I think the best line for black is to accept it. So let's see. Pawn takes f4, and black's up by about 0.37. Is there any reason you would play the King's Gambit over the Vienna Gambit? Yeah, I think overall the King's Gambit's better. Let's look at this. f4, basically, I think the Vienna Gambit, the Vienna Gambit's not a super helpful move in the King's Gambit. That's basically what it is. So, in this position, what would you choose to do as white, right? I mean, is the question. You basically play knight to f3, you play bishop to c4, and yeah. Hey, yeah, no problem, Unconquered. Thanks very much for asking. But yeah, thanks all for joining the stream. Happy to do this. So yeah, knight to c3, knight to c6, f4. I guess King's Gambit, King's Gambit and Vienna Gambit are fairly similar principles, fairly similar games. Vienna Gambit, you hold e4 and d5 early. Yep. But you can always transpose into the Vienna Gambit. So f4. Knight takes, knight to f3. If you want to play the Vienna Gambit, or basically this is considered to be the Mason Kier's Gambit. This turns into the Vienna Gambit with knight to c6. I guess with knight to f6, I don't know. I mean, you can get the Vienna Gambit structure out of the King's Gambit game. So yes, it is the morning of the 16th in the United States. Yes, that is correct. It's about 8 a.m. But yeah, I think this ends up being a solid a solid opportunity. So knight to c6, f4, and then black has choices either bishop to c4 or bishop to c5, sorry, or pawn takes f4. And yeah, I mean, it's I guess I would say these openings all kind of push the eval towards black. Vienna Gambit in this situation on pawn takes, which is considered to be the best. So basically, if you look at bishop to c5, white actually gets a lot of play, like knight to f3, bishop to c4 coming, d3. But basically, this ends up being a good play for white. With pawn takes f4, so pawn takes f4 here. White can play something like knight to f3, queen to e2, d4. A lot of opportunities for white, a lot of solid play. But I guess what I would say about this is knight to f3. And this opening has some similarities to the King's Gambit, but it does give black an advantage. As soon as black takes on f4, as soon as black accepts the gambit, the eval advantage is on black's side. So yeah, it's actually really interesting. I don't know. I think it's really interesting. Basically, like these openings are playable, but at the same time, they're not objectively the best. King's Gambit, Vienna Gambit. In the Vienna Gambit, G5 is still playable. D5 is still playable. D6 is still playable. And basically general plays for black here should be pretty comfortable. Knight to F6, Bishop to E7. But basically, it plays out similarly to the King's Gambit, and I guess what I would say is basically knight to f3, d4, d5. These provide opportunities for white to kind of advance here. So yeah, that's I guess what I would say. Bishop d4, d5, bishop to c4. Overall, white's in a pretty solid position, and the game will play out similarly to the King's Gambit. So, anyways, thanks Limestone. Thanks for asking. I wasn't really that wasn't really the purpose of this lecture. I kind of wanted to go through, and you do get strong center control. You're undermining center control. If you play f4 and pawn takes f4, then you do get strong center control as white. But overall, the eval advantage all favors black out of both the King's Gambit and the Vienna Gambit. So, anyways, interesting. Bishop to e7 is this closed Morphy defense. We're switching gears, sorry. I just wanted to answer Limestone's question. b5, bishop to b3, d6 and castles are better for black. So d6 here, castles, okay. These are mainline openings. With d6, white has the choice between c3, which advances the attack, and h3, which prevents bishop to g4. Here, castles, and then h3 or d4. On d4, bishop to g4 is playable. This is the Bogolojov variation. This is that's the name of it. Interesting. And yeah, white can play between bishop to e3. White can play d5. It's up to white kind of just to decide what best fits their tastes. So d5, in the d5 variation, knight to a5 is the move, and you basically yeah, that's a tough one for me, man. Let's see. Uh, yeah, well, I mean, anyone who declines the f4 gambit is going to give white a better situation. I guess what I would say is, those openings are, those gambit openings. I would guess I would go with I guess limestone. I would not go with the gambit openings if you're interested in securing the most solid play. But the Vienna game undermining f4, yeah, you get f4 and d4, strong center control as white, and yeah, very interesting stuff. I guess I would say those gambit openings are kind of tricky. But yeah, knight to a5 playing up against bishop to c2. Black can play things like c6, h3, bishop to c8. Overall here, I guess that the situation's about equal. What can you really how do you basically advance the situation as black? So here, a6, d6 is Steinitz. But the a6 line, this is the Morphy defense. Knight to f6, bishop to e7 is the main line. B5, bishop to b3, d6, and then on d4, bishop to g4. White has choices between bishop to e3 and d5 here. I guess, I don't know. It depends on kind of what structure white's going for. But this is kind of a main fork in this game. With bishop to g4, I guess what I would say is like, white's going to have, or there's going to be pressure on the d4 square, like sustained pressure. And if, bishop to e3 can be played to defend d4, d5 can be played to move, d4 away, basically move to d5 and then knight to a5. But overall here, I guess I would say that black is basically, black's in good shape. Bishop to e3, d5, those are the two ideas for white. In the bishop to e3 game, pawn takes d4 is the most common response for black. In the d5 game, knight to a5 is the most common response for black. We can go through both lines of this tree, but okay, bishop to c2, c6. This aims to get that knight off, knight off the a5 square. So c6, d takes c6 is basically helpful for black. Queen to c7 can be played here. Knight to c6 will probably be played on the next move. Queen takes c6 is also playable. In this line, black is playing for the outpost knight to c4. Yeah, so that's what I was saying. There's the old Steinitz, which is immediately d6, and the modern Steinitz, which is a6, bishop a4, d6. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's completely correct. And yeah, there's a few other gambits. As long as we're looking at what Sam Sejuani's talking about, we can learn these. A6, bishop to A4, D6. This is the modern Steinitz. Okay. A6, bishop takes C6, D takes C6. This is the exchange variation. And there's a few others. F5, Janish gambit. Bishop to C5, classical defense. G6, fianchetto defense. Knight G7, Cosio defense. But we can just go through and learn these. Honestly, like, a lot of the very high level people kind of understand, know these names, know kind of what's going on in each of these openings. They actually have to learn the sidelines. That's, unusual. Basically that's unusual, I would say. Knight Ge7, basically as black, you get good opportunities. And yeah. How do I study tactics? You guys like watching me do tactics. But yeah, I guess I would say naturally lucid. What I do to study tactics, I just go to Puzzle Battle and do that for a few hours. If you want to do learn tactics, quickly, Puzzle Battle, Puzzle Rush is a good opportunity. If you asked me how to do studying tactics, we can do a quick game, a quick puzzle battle. I got a good match last night. There was one. It was like an IM. How basically you enjoy Gambit? Go yeah, Gambit openings. I mean, to be fair, you can look at grandmasters and how they play gambits. The truth of the matter is, gambit openings are sort of from a different era of chess. One that's great and very interesting games. But I guess what I would say is, the thing about gambit openings in chess is that they basically end up, you end up basically giving your opponent advantages. Is the main point. There are very few gambits. The Queen's Gambit is not really even a gambit. But basically, there's few gambits that don't involve, giving your opponent what's an objective advantage. And just since naturally lucid asked, how do I study tactics? I just basically start off on these, on these tactical problems, and just go, for a bit. These are a lot of fun for me to do. This is great prep. I'm trying to think of how we can, turn this into how we can turn this into a an part of the lesson basically. But what you want to do is really just is play these. This is a fun competitive way to learn tactics. And from 1200 to 2000 about, you're really going to have a great opportunity to improve just by doing these. That's what I'm saying. I think this will be very helpful in terms of in terms of learning tactical strength. So I don't know. I mean, honestly, like watching me do these, I'm kind of like, how good a lesson is this really? But yeah, if you do enough of these, your play will improve by a lot. It's just really about time spent. It's about it's about coming up with the best ways, the most efficient uses of your time. And this is really a good way to improve quickly. That's what I would say on this topic. I think it's bishop. Yeah, that one was hard for me to see. Bishop to b5. But yeah, just do enough of this, and you'll improve quickly from out of class level. You can get out of class level really by studying heavy level tactics, and yeah, would I recommend playing the Danish Gambit or the Goring Gambit? Honestly, these gambits just they aren't in my opinion, like I would recommend playing neither, to be completely honest. Gambits sort of stopped being played after about 2000. So I wouldn't be too worried about those. I guess it's just not the strategy that I think is the best. The best strategy long term. Like you might get some really cool, fun games out of the out of the these Danish gambits, this type of thing. But at some point there becomes an upper limit to how strong opponents you can beat with them. That's what I'm saying. So the Evans Gambit is probably the best of the gambits. You're one of the best of the gambits. At least with the Evans Gambit, you have some well established theory. You have good GM games to draw from. But what I would say about the Danish Gambit is it's just objectively not the strongest. It's just not objectively the strongest way to play. What you want at the highest level is things that are consistently good from an objective perspective. and that is that is how you improve. Anyways, we did this puzzle rush. This is how to or puzzle battle. This is how to improve as a class player. Do enough puzzle battle if you have access to chess.com, and do a puzzle puzzle storm or a puzzle racer on Lee Chess. But just really make sure that you do enough of this. That is the way to do this, and I think basically that should provide a good opportunity for you to improve going forward. Anyways, yeah, no, I'm saying stick with it, Limestone. Just keep pressing. Just basically keep aiming to improve, and if you do enough of that, you will definitely improve. Your opponents are hanging pieces to 2 and 3 move tactics all the time at club or at at class level. So if you can really press on that, then if you basically have the tactical skill required to press, you will be in very good shape. Anyways, going back to these Ruy Lopez games. So anyways, I just wanted to show off what you can do in terms of those games. Hey, welcome Eccentric Horse. Thanks for joining. Hey, good morning. How's it going? So yeah, I just wanted to look at the main lines here. So bishop to a4, a6, or bishop to b4, bishop to b5, a6, bishop to a4. This is the Morphy defense, Columbus variation, but basically main line Morphy defense, Ruy Lopez. Bishop to e7 is playable. B5 is also playable. With bishop to b5 and then bishop to c5, this is the line that I play. This is like the Archangels variation. I do this both before and with or without knight to f6. But yeah, that general b5 and bishop to c5 concept, is playable to a pretty high level. Rook to e1, b5, bishop to b3, d6, c3, castles, and then h3 or d4 here for white. It's the main fork. d4, bishop to g4, bishop to e3 is more conservative. Pawn takes, knight to a5. So I guess what I would say is, these Ruy Lopez defenses are very heavy on the knight to a5 trade, and that's kind of a main thematic concept here. In these kind of mainline Ruy Lopez's, you're playing like knight to a5 with threats on the white squared bishop. Yeah, I mean it's playable. It's definitely playable. You can draw. Drawing the GM level games and drawing the GM level ideas. I think that can be very helpful. Eccentric Horse. So yeah, knight to a5, and then c5. This ends up being. I mean, this is basically the mainline Ruy Lopez, and yeah, you get this quick queenside expansion. You get the ability to post a knight on c4. And overall, I guess what I would say is, it's really can be played pretty well, pretty aggressively as black here. C5, pawn takes c5, pawn takes c5. This outcome is pretty good for black. White may have a slight eval advantage, but now it's really just a game. So you've played onto you've played deeper and deeper into this main line, Ruy Lopez, and I think this is a good opportunity for you. Like, d takes c5, pawn takes c5, and queens. Basically you're pushing with a majority on the queen side, and have open lines for both your queen and your bishops, and your knight can get outposted on c4. What does Columbus have to do with chess? That's a good question. All right, good question, Sam Sejuani. Let's figure this one out. Why is the Columbus variation called the Columbus variation? Really good question. Well, all right. So the first one is Ruy Lopez is named. So let's think about this. So this is named after the 16th century priest Ruy Lopez, right? So it's a Spanish. It's a Spanish priest, and Columbus was Spanish, right? Uh, let's think about this. But there's an opening known as the sodium attack. I don't know why. Yeah. But yeah, I would assume that this has something to do with kind of the era in which it was invented, and probably yeah, something to do with that. But uh, Columbus variation. Um, but yeah, it's a really good question. Let's see if we can figure out the solution to this. Um, See, I mean, there are answers. Uh, yeah, no, that's what I'm sort of wondering about. But yeah, knight a3. That's the reason why it's called the sodium attack. So, but yeah, I am curious. I do think it has something to do with the era in which it was invented, but that's just a guess. Anyways, we'll work harder on that one, and we'll figure out why it's called that. But yeah, it's a great question. I'm interested in the answer to that at least. But yeah, Na3 is the answer for sodium attack. So, uh, huh. Yeah, I like that explanation, Lauren. Let's see if we can figure out exactly why. But yeah, I mean, these things do actually have reasons. They're either named after the person who invented them, or they're named after, or they're named for specific reasons. Like, I don't know. I mean, the one that I think of in terms of, so they're usually named after people, to be fair, or they're named after tournaments, or they're named after, groups, basically like groups of people from a certain place where the opening became popular. Um, but yeah, interesting. So yeah, we can figure it out. It's interesting. What's the best way of beating me? Good question, TK. I'm curious about that. Ultra Bullet. Ultra Bullet, I think is we can try. But Ultra Bullet, not sure. How about Simals? Simals are a pretty good way to beat me. I went 0-50 in that one Simul. King's Gambit and a Simul is a good way. You know who actually, if you want to look at games where I'm losing in a All right, hey, let's figure out. You guys are interested in looking at you guys are interested in looking at situations where I am or where I play badly, and it's a really good question. Let's look at Joseph Florio's game. Joseph Florio's game against me. He's played this twice, and let's figure this out. Joseph Florio's beaten me twice in the Simul. And let's look at his games because he keeps getting these good positions against me, and I'll show you. I like showing off my losses. Honestly, like showing off my losses feels a lot more. It feels like a much better balance. But yeah, let's look at this game Joseph Florio played against me. Um, uh, I think actually Joseph Florio has a great strategy. So let's look at how he beats me in these simuls. He's beaten me twice. I think I want to give him credit for that. It's good. But yeah, he played this opening against me, and this has a really I don't know how to play this. But yeah, just in case you guys want to look at someone who's beaten me twice out of this opening, look at this situation in the simul. I really want to give credit. So this is an opening where basically I don't know what I'm doing as black. Right? So this is really interesting. So right, I don't know how to play this. I don't think most people would know how to play this. Bishop to c5 opening, and then queen to g4, and then I played g6. Let's look at what the computer eval is. The computer eval actually pushes for queen to f6 here, which is actually really interesting because if anything, I've been kind of steering away from trying to play like responsive moves to these types of things. But yeah, I guess what I would say is like queen to g4. Black can play queen to f6, knight to c6, and yeah, I mean you'd play knight to f6 in response to bishop to c4, and maybe that's right. Maybe that sidesteps things. I know bishop to c5 is basically playable here. It's one of the more common moves. So bishop to c5. Knight to f3. Yeah, maybe I should just be changing my response to the bishop to c4 openings. Knight to f6 is the Berlin defense in the bishop's opening. This is fine for black. Knight to c6 is the I guess that one's not named, but basically yeah, knight to f6 appears to be objectively the best. So maybe that's what I should play. Why is this opening so hard to defend? Interesting. Yeah, yeah. Felion's the Traxler's always interesting for sure. Those make interesting games. But I guess what I'm sort of curious is like, what's going, basically. Okay, I've lost this game twice. Actually, let's pull up the other game. Let's pull up the other game if I can, uh, or if I can figure out how to do it. How to look at the other game that Joseph Florio won against me. Uh, I guess I'm just really curious. I'm basically like, if he's beaten me twice in simuls, so I think he's a great person to show off how to beat me in simuls. But with bishop to c4, bishop to c5, maybe I shouldn't be playing bishop to c5, but queen to g4, and I have no idea what I'm doing as black. So like queen to f6, knight to f6, knight to c6, or sorry, queen to f6 and knight to c6 are the two moves that I'm looking at. Uh, Queen to f6, though, objectively given, is the best move. Queen to g3. This does push the queen back. Now I think black can develop in a more kind of normal way with knight to e7, knight to c6, d6. But anyways, this is a really interesting question. Uh, I could try playing the French. I could try playing knight to f6. I think I'm adjusting to, I think I'm gonna go for that knight to f6 move. Maybe I should shift my response to the bishop's opening to knight to f6. But if anyone's interested, I really want to give credit, where credit is, where credit is due. Joseph Florio has beaten me, twice in these simuls. And let's just figure out how to find out, the other games that I've played against Joseph Florio. Here's the other one. Joseph Florio got basically got a draw against me in the previous one. Let's see how this one went. This one I think he also had a great position. So I was playing white in this one. d4, d5, bishop to c4. Even with this knight to c6 line, he ended up very solidly off. So black's up by about 3 to 8 pawns here. I mean, this was big. I guess this one revolves around misplaying a tactical defense on the king side. But anyways, I think the other one's more instructive, really. How do you play against me in a simul? How do you beat me in a simul? Play things that I don't know that are very dangerous. Queen to g4 is a very dangerous move. As black, you have to kind of choose between a few different options. I played g6, and white retains the advantage here. So queen to f3, here, again, the move is kind of not intuitive. Like, the move is f5, I think, for black. But basically, my standard response to these, to these aggressive queen moves is to try to develop normally. And I think generally that's the correct way to play. But this one is actually complicated enough that I don't actually know how to, basically the fundamentally correct play, the moves like knight to f6 or g6 and then knight to f6, they're not particularly good. Knight to f6 causes a lot of problems. After d4, white's going to very quickly get tactics and offbeat openings, I think. Yeah, let's take a look. Lauren is just talking about basically the opening takes advantage of two things. The black has moved the pawn to e5, weakening the bit f7 to c4 diagonal, and moved the bishop to c5, removing the defender of the g7 pawn. Yes, I think that's a great explanation, Lauren. Yeah, that's actually a really good point. That is those two combinations make bishop to c4, bishop to c5, and queen to g4 more generally playable as white. Basically the queen can attack the g7 pawn directly, and the bishop is aggressive on an open diagonal. So yeah, I think that's a really good explanation, Lauren, for sure. But yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I think that's completely right. And yeah, I like this. Sorry, I appreciate your analysis, Lauren. I want to just make sure that we talk about that. But yeah, the combination of those two factors, you're absolutely right. That's what makes this strong. Bishop to c4, bishop to c5, and then with this queen on g4, you have the opportunity to play d5 potentially. But yeah, knight to f6. Well, yeah, knight to f6 as well. So e4, e5, knight to f3. And it covers g4, right? So with knight to f6, the queen to g4 threat is shut down completely as white. White's not going to be doing anything too crazy with this queen here. But I'm surprised that basically, the queen moves are powerful enough that it's actually worthwhile to play. It's basically worthwhile to play the queen move. I mean, right? It's like it seems an unusual. It seems like it's an unusual position where white can get his queen aggressively onto g4, and not have the best refutation for black be clearly better for black. Like, the one that I look at, okay, so is out of the Vienna game. So knight to c3, knight to c6, bishop to c4, bishop to c5. Here, and then queen to g4. Here basically, this is a book move. This is a very specific Vienna game type position, and this is completely playable as white. But what's actually really interesting about this is that the eval here is definitely in black's favor. I mean, it's minus 0.16. Queen to g4 is an overextension, and black can kind of get out of it. This is a book move again. G6, queen to f3, knight to f6, knight ge2. Or if he goes, or basically, the d3 route or d4 route is not played, because on d4 especially, pawn takes d4, pawn takes c3. Yeah, if you want to sidestep everything, you can play something really really unusual, or you can always just play the French if you really want to play, if you want to avoid the bishop to c4. But I think what's interesting about this is that basically in this game, the queen is facing, what I'm looking at the bishop to c4, bishop to c5, queen to g4, and saying, oh well, I'm fine, I'm just going to play g6 and develop normally here. But with bishop to c4, bishop to c5, queen to g4 does make a direct attack. So I just want to compare the evals. So the eval is minus 0.16 here. So black is actually slightly better here. The route for black to defend is g6, knight to f6. So g6, knight to f6, d6, and defense on the f6 knight. That is, that's the way to move this forward. And if queen to f3 is played by white, black's going to have knight to d4 and scare the knight off of the f file. So I think that's really interesting. And the other direction is, but what I'm saying is basically that's objectively good for black. But what was interesting about bishop to c4, bishop to c5, queen to g4 is this is not objectively good for black. This is like equals or slightly better, and a lot of practical compensation for white. So basically here, this queen is on, bishop to c4, bishop to c5. The queen is on g4, but there's not, the same way to kind of aggressively refute it. Black is saying queen to f6 here. Queen to f6, queen g3, knight to e7. This is probably your best chance of development, but the point is that, that line where basically, g6, knight to f6, knight to c6. Why is it different? Yeah, exactly, Lauren. That's what's really, the question. And I think it's different because, d4 becomes more aggressive. So I want to show you guys what happened in this game, which I think is very interesting. So what I actually played was g6. Okay, g6, and I say, all right, well, this is about the same as that line that we just looked at out of the Vienna game. So I should be fine here. White plays queen to f3. There's nothing in the opening book about this. Knight to f6, I figure that I'll have kind of your standard good development. But this actually really is a problem. This can't be played against, this can't be played against this position. d4 gets played here, immediately I play bishop to d6. White basically busts black here. Bishop to d6, granted, is an error, but d4 and d5 is practically, I think either taking d4 is practically forced. Yeah, so I just wanted to show you guys, this is how you beat me in a simul. I think this is a great demonstration. I think this is a great play by Joseph, but play an aggressive opening that I don't know. That is probably your best strategy. I think that will, I have mixed feelings about telling you guys how to beat me in a simul, but yeah, this is how to actually do it. Well, Stafford, I think, is objectively not good enough to the point where I think I could get out of it. But this is actually an excellent demonstration of how to beat me in a simul. Now, I don't want you guys to play like crazy openings, but the thing about this opening, just so you guys know, is that this opening here is not objectively bad for black. The thing, I think there's a key difference between this, or objectively bad for white. There's a key difference between this and the Stafford, which is basically that with this opening, white is showing a good eval. Even after queen to g4, white is showing a slightly better eval. After g6, white has, a significantly better eval. Like white's eval is just fine for, any kind of opening. Not just that, but white has a lot of practical compensation and aggressive threats. So I want to take a look at the the objective, against the best refutation. This is not terrible. Queen to f6 is queen to f6 is the best play for black, but even that leaves white with a position where white's not worse. The Stafford Gambit, we've actually gone through it because people like playing it. The Stafford Gambit has a 1.7 pawn disadvantage for black. That's just too much, I think. I mean, I think that's just too much to be to be volunteered. Um, so yeah, black basic. I think black's position against best play is this. Yeah, white is responding to weaknesses in black's position. But anyways, if anyone's interested in knowing how to do this, don't. I wouldn't say go ahead and play whatever you want. Play what's the most fun for you. But yeah. So yeah. I mean, the Stafford is just objectively too. I think Stafford is just objectively too bad against best play. But anyways, this was catastrophically bad for black. And this play by Joseph Florio, bishop to d6, and now bishop to g5, and white's going to win a piece. Bishop to e7 and pawn takes e5, or anything else, and bishop takes f6. I played bishop to e7 and just did the best that I could with this, but yeah, white's up by about 6 pawns and carries this advantage through the rest of the game. I don't know if the edge ever really even narrowed. Yeah, I mean, this is just crushing for white. A piece up is, a piece up is too much. So yeah, anyways, this opening right here, this queen to c4 responding to the empty, basically the empty square on g7, is actually objectively fine. Against best responses, this is good for black, or good for white still, or fine for white. And here, I think knight to f6 first. First, knight to f6 is not good. Best is queen to e7. But yeah, the moves that might be playable out of that Vienna game, Vienna game with queen to g4 are not necessarily the best here. So I didn't know the opening. I extrapolated that it would probably be about the same, but it was not. So queen to e7 is the move here for black. And with d4, the best play is d5. At least that blocks the threat on f7. D5, bishop to g5, bishop to e7. E takes e5. A lot of pressure here, but here I guess I would say bishop to g4 is the engine move. Knight takes e4 is also playable, but I'm curious about knight takes e4, bishop takes e7, and then king takes e7. Interesting. So there's actually a main line in which the king takes on e7 here. That's pretty crazy. But yeah, just in case you guys are interested, there's a lot of there's a lot of kind of mainline play here that is overall very interesting. So yeah, this is a great demonstration of how to beat me in a simul. Play an aggressive opening that is that I don't know, and this was a great example. Really a smart idea for white. With this bishop, with this queen to g4. I try to play it based on my knowledge of a different opening, but there's key yeah, exactly, Aphelion. Transposition into an early king to e7. But yeah, I think here with the queen to g4, g6, yeah, that's probably the best play for black. I still think it's, I mean, this direct queen to f6 I think is pretty interesting. I like to compare this to the queen to f6 in the line out of the Vienna game that I was talking about. So in the Vienna game line, the bishop to c4, bishop to c5, knight to c. I know I'm transposing it in the wrong order, but knight to c3, knight to c6, queen to g. And queen to f6 is not the play here. I guess I would say that that knight to d4 is probably better for black, which is kind of interesting too. But with queen to g4, g6 is widely considered to be the best. Queen to f6 is the number 2 choice, but I think that queen to f6 gives white an advantage after knight to d5. So really understanding the key differences between this, this bishop to c4, bishop to c5, queen g4, and the knight to c3, knight to c6 line of the Vienna, they are not the same game. Is the main point. That's what That's what to consider about. Uh, yeah, Scotch game. What's this one called? I don't think it has. Yeah, so I think it's called the ball variation. Or no, boy variation. Okay. Interesting. But bishop to c4, bishop to c5, queen to g4. Very interesting. Yeah, very interesting play. But queen to c6, queen to f6, is the best play. Um, I don't know. Uh, I think I'll let someone else Google that one and get back to me. But I do not know why that is called that. Um, so yeah, that one is so queen to f6 here is the best opportunity for black. But yeah, I thought this was a great demonstration of things that can go wrong for me in a uh, in a simul. Here, this queen to f3, bishop to d6, and bishop to e7. But overall, very interesting game, and yeah, I just sort of wanted to show that one off. All right, I think the registration is now open for this morning's tournament. This morning's tournament is one of our ones in the tournament series. This is a Chess 960 game. Chess 960 is what we did on Wednesday. Let's see if we can do, basically how we can do, weekly tournaments. I'm actually really curious. I'll join this one. I'm kind of curious. Chess 960, but a Chess 960 arena for 30 minutes. This should be interesting. If anyone else wants to play, feel free to join. Chess 960 is complicated. I don't know if we'll do this every week, to be honest. Chess 960 is a tough. It's basically a different variation, but I think it has some great value in kind of demonstrating pawn structure, center play, basically all the chess fundamentals that exist without without the standard opening theory. Anyways, I just wanted to shift gears here and take a look. Let's take a look at the games for this morning. All right. So the first one is, I think, is from Sam Sejwani. Thank you very much for being here, Sam Sejwani. And here, let's take a look at your games. Yeah, Sam Sejwani is playing white here. But I just wanted to say the tournament is open. If anyone wants to join the arena early, feel free. E4, E5, knight to F3, knight to C6, pawn takes, knight takes. This is a Scotch variation. Basically, this early, this early Scotch, completely fine. Different opportunities for black. Bishop to C5, Scotch game classical variation. Knight to F6. This is the Schmidt variation. Didn't know the name of that one. Schmidt variation. Bishop to B4. Milaniuk variation. Queen to F6 isn't named. Queen to H4 is the Steinitz variation. Interesting. Yeah, the Steinitz variation to the, that's actually really interesting. I would like to learn that one a little bit better. Yeah, so you got the Schmidt variation. That is a, yeah, the Schmidt variation, is a, interesting. Queen to H4 is extremely bad. I've never seen it before, to be completely honest. Let's keep going through these, just in case there's other elegantly named ones that we don't know. That's pretty cool. Lauren. I definitely don't. So I'm kind of curious. You want to take a look at it? Queen to H4. Hey, thank you very much for the follow, Batster. Appreciate it. Yeah, let's look at the refutation to Queen H4. It looks like the white has a number of options here, but this Queen to H4 option. Actually, while Lauren's doing that, I'm gonna just step out for a second. I was gonna grab a soda. But yeah, take a look at Lauren's refutation. Lauren's refutation here. I'm curious about it because I don't know it. And also just keep in mind there's the chess.com tournament if anyone wants to play. Chess 960 is interesting. You might learn something about positional play. You might not, but you might. So yeah, if anyone wants to play the Chess 960, this one is here today, and feel free to join if that's something that interests you. I'm gonna grab a soda. I'll be right back. But yeah, I wanted to look at that. There's a 6-move checkmate in the Scotch during PogChamps. Yeah, let's look at this line from Lauren. I'm really curious about it actually. But here, yeah. So e4, e5, knight to f3, knight c6, d4, pawn takes, knight takes, queen to h4. Okay, knight to c3, bishop to b4. So knight to c3 is the main line. So knight to c3, bishop to b4, bishop to e2. I mean, again, I'm not going to pretend to know this. I didn't know this. So credit to Lauren for understanding how this is played. I don't really. So, queen takes e4, knight to b5, bishop takes, b takes, king to d8. Interesting. Yeah, that's actually really interesting. Interesting opening, Lauren. Like that is yeah, interesting game. Yeah, I'm surprised that it's playable. I've never even seen this. Queen to h4. Let's look at the eval. Eval, white's only up by half a pawn. The main line refutes it. Knight to c3, bishop to b4, knight to b5, queen takes e4. How about like bishop to a5 here? How does that look? Or what does that do? Is that any better? So I think queen takes e4 is the. But let's look at this line. So knight to c3, bishop to b4, bishop to e2. Wait. So after knight to c3, bishop to e2. That's the second most common line. So bishop to e2. Right, because it stops the check. Okay. In this eval, white's up by about a pawn. Queen takes e4, knight to b5. Interesting. A pawn or so here. Hey, welcome, GM Nahonium. Thanks for joining. If anyone's interested in joining the Chess 960 arena, feel free. This arena starts at the end of the stream. Yeah, no, that is actually really funny. Basically, bishop takes c3, b takes c3, king to d8. That seems like an opportunity. Bishop takes c3, b takes c3. Yeah, king to d8 seems like an opportunity for black. Anyways, that's actually really interesting. So knight takes c3, and then opportunities for black include bishop to c5. But queen to h4, interesting. I've never seen this line. Very interesting. Yeah, I've never known this. I've never known this one. Didn't know this. How about knight to b5 here? How does that turn out? King to d8 or bishop to c5 followed by bishop to a5 potentially. Is there an arena? Yes, there is. Yes, there is an arena, Amet. Here's the link to the arena. It's Chess 960 today. We'll see. I don't know if we'll do Chess 960 again. It depends on how interested people are in playing it. But yeah, interesting. I didn't know there was a. I didn't know that that someone had covered. I've never seen that line, to be honest, ever before. So yeah, it's very helpful for Lauren to send the line. But queen to h4 wins the pawn by force. Does it? Queen to h4, and then knight to c3, bishop to b4. I guess it does, right? No, I'm sure you're right. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, Matt, if you want to play, there's the arena after the stream. Bishop to e2, b takes c3, b takes c3, king to d8. Yeah. One that Lauren showed. So, this queen to h4, knight to c3, bishop to b4, bishop to e2, queen takes. Black is up a pawn, but white's got a tremendous positional advantage. So yeah, really interesting. That king is very uncomfortable there. Basically, this pawn, white's up by about 2 pawns. So, anyways, really interesting demonstration, Lauren. I didn't know this game. Anyways, let's go back to Sam Sejuani's game. These are really helpful because I get to learn a lot of stuff. But yeah, Sam Sejuani's game goes bishop to c5. Bishop to c5 is the line that I know the best. Bishop to c5, the most common thing here for white is bishop to e3. Second most common is knight takes c6. But knight takes c6, bishop to e3. With bishop to e3, you play queen to f6, and I actually really like this position. I like attacking with my queen on f6. I like that more than a master. Basically masters should phase moves like that out of their game. But I actually like these kinds of attacks. Knight to e7. Yeah, basically Black's going to end up in a situation where they can play, they can defend against things. So c3, knight to e7, bishop to c4. And yeah, let's take a look. The positional compensation for white with better development, a black king which can't castle. Yeah, and that outcome. Yeah, I mean, basically, so you've never studied the bishop to c5 line. Interesting. Yeah, I've played the bishop to c5 line. I know this one. So bishop to c5, knight to b. There's 3 moves for white, basically. I've seen all of them at various points. Bishop to e3, knight takes c6, and knight to b3. All of those are good. The only named one is knight to b3. That's the Potter variation. Didn't know that. Basically here, bishop to b6, and you end up in a situation where you have bishop on a good diagonal. Very comfortable position for black. I would say black is better. Yeah, right, exactly. It's the Potter variation. Hey, thanks for joining this tournament, Adrian. We have this Chess 960 tournament starting at the end of the lecture, as always. If I'm gonna play at least, I might play. I don't know if I'll play the whole tournament. I don't really want to win, but yeah, we should invent the Voldemort defense, and it should be out of the Potter line. I feel like that would be. I feel like we could definitely do that. So yeah, why not? We can invent stuff. Why? The chess is a big game. I mean, there's basically like a there's an opportunity to learn a lot of stuff. So yeah, there should be. If you want to invent the Voldemort defense, Lauren, I'll start talking about it on the stream. If Aphelion gets a defense, or if Aphelion gets a an opening, then Lauren should get an opening as well. So yeah, if there's a Aphelion variation, we can easily come up with a Voldemort defense. The Potter line. Yeah, let's look. So the Potter line is knight to b3, bishop to b6, or anything really out of knight to b3. But yeah, let's come up with an opening. Basically, what's unnamed here. So I don't think anything here for black is named. Bishop to b6 is playable. Bishop to b4 is playable. This bishop to b4 is the Romanishin variation. Okay. Queen to h4 is still played in a few games. But yeah, bishop to b6. Let's find a line out of this and call it the Voldemort variation. I like it. Knight to c3, knight to f6, queen to e2, d6. Basically here, yeah, queen to h4 is the Voldemort. Yeah, I like it. I don't see any reason why we wouldn't do that. Bishop to so here, queen to h4. Does that just hang a piece though? Because I think that might be too much. Queen to h4 and then knight takes c5. Then what happens? Well, the knight's threatening the bishop. That's the first problem. If anyone wants to join the Chess 960 tournament, it starts in 45 minutes. Knight's on c5. Yeah, so I think something stronger than that. Queen to h4 doesn't really seem. Yeah, queen to h4 just seems too objectively bad. Queen to b6, bishop to b6. Maybe, but we could go into a further sideline here. Bishop to b6, knight to c3, or a4. What happens with a4? a4, a6, knight to c3, d6. Basically here, I think that white's better by about 2/10 of a pawn, something like that. But yeah, basically black's better. This line is not a particularly challenging way for white to play. White just ends up with this good bishop on b6 and can have straight. Seems like a I mean, honestly, this seems like a pretty underwhelming way to play the Scotch. Knight to b3, and then knight to b3, and then bishop to b6. I think this is the best line, and with this, the bishop gets a strong threat on f2. Why not queen to h4 there after knight to c3? Good question. Yeah, let's look. Queen to h4, g3, queen to f6, queen to e2. I mean, I guess I would just say it's possible, but it's sort of like what's black trying to do. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, I like it. I think it's worth coming up with a line like that though, for sure. It seems like a good idea to me, Aphelion. So yeah, queen to f6. Yeah, no, okay. So anyways, let's look at the game. But yeah, we learned the Potter variation. This knight to b3 Potter variation. Potter variation warrants a Voldemort variation. We just have to figure out what it is. So bishop to b6. Okay, cool. Let's take a look at what Lauren's got. Thank you very much for joining the stream or joining the tournament, Yo-Yo Adrian. We will get this started shortly. Okay, e4, e5. Knight to c3, queen to h4. All right, this is the one. Yeah, I mean, we were looking at this. This could be it. Followed by g3 and queen f6. Interesting. All right, I mean, I don't know. This is what Aphelion was saying too. Sure. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Queen to f6, knight to e7. I think this works. Yeah, we can call it the all right. We'll keep that in mind for next time. Noted in my spreadsheet for this stream. But yeah, so this is okay, Voldemort variation. Done. All right. No one else named it, so let's name it. Yeah, seems to work. Okay. Bishop to c5, knight takes c6, b takes c6. Yeah, all right, it's noted. It's in the book. It's on the same page as Aphelion's variation. It's the Voldemort opening. We've got it. Okay. Bishop to c5, bishop to e3, queen to f6, c3, knight e7. This is the line that I know the best of the Scotch game. But yeah, the Scotch game basically offers black some quick development. White gets better center control. White can often play moves like f4, and yeah. So anyways, bishop to c5, knight takes c6, and then the main move here actually is not b takes c6. It's queen to f6. Both are fine. Either way, this knight trading on c6 is premature for white. I think with b takes c6, white's up by about 0.2. If instead queen to f6, this queen is threatening checkmate and threatening f2 mate at the same time. You can always play that, Sam Sejwani. I've never gotten the mate out of this, but hey, thank you very much for the follow, Max. Thank you very much for joining the stream. But queen to f6 facing on f2 and f6. This seems like a this is the main line. It looks good. Anyways, b takes c6, and there's a lot of choices. So. Interesting. Well, I mean, that's a small sample size, so we don't know. But yeah, so basically, knight takes c6, b takes c6, c3. Knight to f6 or queen to f6 here seems like the best option. Bishop to e7, okay. And so, anyways, if anyone else wants to join this Chess 960 tournament, feel free. But yeah, this is the line. If anyone wants to join, starts in 40 minutes, no rush. But yeah, let's look at the game line. Bishop c5, knight takes, b takes, c3. I feel like black should be able to just develop normally here. So far, I don't think black's done anything, incorrect. The main line here is queen takes f6, but b takes c6 is also playable. Queen to f6 is the main line. d5, pawn takes, bishop to b5, okay. And then king to f8, I think, is the play. All right, well, we can add it. We can add it, Lauren. It's added to the book. The next time, where does the line start? Which line are you referring to, Abraham? The Potter line or or this game line? The Harry Potter line. We're talking about e4, bishop to c5, knight to b3, bishop to b6, knight to c3, queen to h4. This is the this is the Harry Potter line. Yeah, if you want to play this, this is the Voldemort line of the Potter variation. I like it. So yeah, bishop to c5, knight takes, b takes c6, c3, what should black play here? Like d5, yeah, why not? Okay, so bishop to c5, c3, d5, pawn takes d5, pawn takes d5, bishop to b5, and yeah, white's got a fine position here. So where do I think black misplayed this? Here I think that knight to c6, knight to f6 probably is better. Pawn takes d5, and the pawn structure becomes too powerful. It's better to just play like pawn takes c6. Yeah, why not? So pawn takes c5 or pawn takes d5 is bad for black. It makes sense though because you're trading a doubled pawn or a doubled isolated pawn for a for like a d pawn, but yeah, funny. No, I like it. I mean, why not? We can name whatever we want. So, all right, we're up to 4 players in today's Chess 960. If I'll share the link again, but if anyone wants to join this, Chess 960 tournament, we're up to 4 players so far, and yeah, all right, I like it. I could do that. I don't see any reason why I couldn't do that. The thing about it though is that it's asking a lot from white. Like, it's basically, expecting how often does white play the Scotch? Like 1 out of every 5% of games, less 2% of the games. But yeah, let's all right, I like it. I'll try to play it in one of these USCF rated Blitz tournaments online. That's the one way I can actually play it. Otherwise, I'm not playing enough USCF tournaments at this point, but interesting. Yeah, I don't see the Scotch that much. It's kind of weird. People they don't play real openings against, or they don't play interesting openings against Masters. They just sort of play the same boring stuff over and over again. All right, anyways, we're looking at Sam Sejuani's game. Bishop to d7, bishop takes, queen takes, and the situation's about equal. All of this looks fine. This all looks reasonable. And yeah, okay, so I think the error in this game, Sam Sejuani, is pretty clear. Queen to c6 is not playable there. But yeah, queen to c6, that is an error for black. Anyways, let's look. I'll do this. I like it, Lauren. So basically, I would say let's see if we can come up with that. Let's see if we can come up with that strategy in the game, and yeah, we'll figure it out. Um, so yeah, we're up by about 4 pawns here, or we're at 4 players here. Yeah, no. I like it though. I like the idea. If I see the Scotch in a Scotch with knight to b3, is what this requires. I mean, the thing is, in order to play the Voldemort variation, you would need to play the Potter variation to start with. So knight to b3 is already something to something to ask for from white. B takes d5, pawn takes d5. White's up by about pawn. So this variation was surprisingly not good for black. I would think this should be okay. But the engine really wants you to play kind of like standard developing moves, things like knight to f6, queen to e7, and threats on the e file. So yeah, c takes d5. This bishop to b5 is just too powerful a move. With bishop to b5, you have options either bishop to d7, in which case the queen takes on d5 and you lose that pawn you've worked for, or you play king to f8 and your defense on d5 becomes the key point of the game. So yeah, I guess I would say king to f8 here, probably. But overall, very interesting. Bishop d7, queen takes, knight to f6. So yeah, that was white, by the way, missed the line. The line is queen takes d5, but on queen takes d5, bishop takes b5, white is better. White plays queen takes c5 and has has an extra pawn here. So yeah, I think that this basically was yeah, bishop to d7. By the way, there is the most the solidest move. But I guess what I would say is in this Scotch line, this knight takes c6 Scotch. What can we really learn from this? c3 is quiet, but I think that d5 is not. D5 is playable, but only with the context of allowing the c6 pawn to go as well. I would play standard developing moves here. I'd play like knight to f6 or queen to e7. D5 is aggressive, which is aggressive is good, but I think that this d5 creates problems after pawn takes d5. You basically have to sack the pawn on c6 as well. So you're basically giving up the d5 pawn, the d pawn and the c6 pawn for the pawn on e4. So knight to f6, white can choose like queen to e2, king to, on knight f6, queen to e2, probably queen to e7. But yeah, d5 basically, the best lines out of d5 give up the pawn on d7. So anyways, I think this is really interesting. It's just interesting how this played out. Yeah. So in looking at this game, I think not d5 is the answer. Basically black has a few choices here. The end. Basically, this is your fork. Bishop to e7. I'm surprised, but that's the a very clearly main line in this opening. So yeah, this is what to draw from. This is the against c3, which again I've not seen that much out of this knight takes c6 Sicilian or knight takes c6 Scotch. Bishop to e7 here is the main line. So I guess at the end of the day, I would say that this is mainly a deviation from main line. That's sort of the outcome of this game. D5 is aggressive, and it's aggressive deviation out of mainline strategy. I think bishop to e7 played 31 out of 31 games. That's a much that's kind of a much safer line for black. But yeah, maybe knight to f6. I don't know. This is actually kind of interesting. This one's kind of interesting too, Sam Sejuani, because the main line here is at odds with what the engine is saying. So knight to f6 might be the move. Anyways, the choices are, either play main line, which is bishop to e7, played in 31 out of 31 games here, or play knight to f6, in which case, or play knight to f6 here, which is considered to be the engine best. Here, you basically have no problems as black. the problems were all sort of self-generated by d5. So that's the recommendation that I'm going to make. It's at so knight takes c6, b takes c6, c3. You have two choices: either mainline 31 out of 31 games, bishop to e7, or engine best knight to f6. But d5 introduces a lot of problems. Pawn takes d5, pawn takes d5, bishop to b5. It introduces problems for black that you probably don't want to deal with. So that's where I would look at in this game. That's the deviation. That's the change that I would make in this. And yeah, thank you very much for sending the game stamps to Jwani, as always. Interesting one. We got to learn a little bit more about the about the Scotch. Cool. And we got to name a variation. If anyone's interested, here's the post lecture tournament. This is a tournament starting at 9:45 a.m. Eastern time. So far, we've got 4 players. It's an arena, 30-minute arena. It's gonna go. So however many people join, feel free to join. But we're at 3 or 4 right now. So feel free to join if you'd like. Chess 960 should be interesting, and yeah, cool. All right. So let's go on to the next game. Next game here is from Streamer Comedy. All right. Let's take a look. So d5, g3. Basically, a lot of options. A lot of options for white here. So this is the ready, right? And with d5, you get this. D5 basically. This is a a choice. One of the most common choices against the ready opening. Ready with d5. White's got opportunities d4, g3, c4. But basically, King's Indian attack starts with g3. That's what was played in this game. d4 transposes into Zuckertort variation of the queen's pawn opening. c4, ready gambit. And we looked through this yesterday. Nimzowitsch Larsen attack. But I think repetition is good. Old Indian attack, cool. Santa Sear's folly. So yeah, bishop to b4 is this one. But yeah, we looked through a lot of the mainline ready openings here. d5, and then for white, yeah, probably g3, King's Indian attack, g6, double fianchetto variation, bishop g2, bishop g7, d4, knight to f6. Okay, so what do we have? We have a very symmetrical opening. This is the King's Indian attack with g3 and g6, double fianchetto variation. Really interesting theory. Very solid, no problems, and kind of what how do you advance this question? Like probably castles, c4. Anyways, white's opportunities there. So bishop to g5, castles, queen to d2, rook to e8, bishop to h6, bishop to h8. This one's kind of interesting. So let's actually look at the eval. One of the things that people are interested in, and one of the things that that's always kind of a question is on bishop to h6, bishop to h8. White's up by about 3/10 of a pawn here or so. What do you is it worth playing the bishop to h8 move? This has to do with the the value of the weak squares around the king. If black plays bishop takes h6, it not only trades off black's fianchettoed bishop for white's weaker bishop, but it creates a situation in which there's a lot of weak squares surrounding the king. And I think that's the main thing to take away from this. And yeah, I guess what I would say, yeah, this is Blitz. Yeah, feel free Blitz in the weekly Chess 960. Blitz Chess 960. We'll see. I'm actually really curious. If we can't get this started, we can just switch to another but yeah, we'll see if we can get Chess 960 off. Chess 960, honestly, it's very interesting, but it's different. So we'll see if this tournament starts. If it starts, it starts. If it doesn't start, we can make it a different Blitz tournament. But yeah, anyways, if anyone wants to join, this is our post-lecture tournament for today, Chess 960. I think it's a good idea. How about this? How about we make these? How about we do this? How about any tournament that doesn't start, we don't do again? That will be hey, thank you very much for the follow, Slasher. Appreciate it. Thanks for joining. But yeah, if anyone wants to join this chess 960, here we go. If it doesn't start, we'll just switch to regular blitz. It's very quick to set up. And yeah, basically, if it doesn't start, we'll just do something else. Good indication of what does and doesn't work. Take a look at the game you played in the simul. Yeah, absolutely. Willem. Yeah. I'll add this to the list. Okay. But first let's look at Streamer Comedy's game. Because we've kind of gotten a little bit sidetracked here. Bishop to g5, castles, queen to d2, rook to e8, bishop to h6, bishop to h8. Is bishop to h8 worth it? Is it the best move? The engine's saying no, which is kind of interesting. So basically, bishop to h8 here is not as good as bishop takes h6. That's kind of interesting. Basically, they're saying that okay, cool. Yeah, thanks for sending the game, Willem. I will add it to my list. But yeah, always interesting games out of the simul. So I'm just gonna put that. If you want to make sure, I'll try, but I worry that a little bit that these things get kind of misplaced. So if you want to put that game, Willem, in the chess or the game submission section of the Discord, I think that should be the way to make sure that it doesn't get lost. It probably won't get lost either way, but yeah. Anyways, queen to h6, and white has opportunities. So queen takes h6 is considered to be better. Bishop to h8, knight to c3, a6, and white's up by about white's up by about 0.4 pawns. Castle's queenside, c6, rook to e1, knight to d7, d4, pawn takes, knight takes, rook takes. Overall, white here is about equal. But yeah, in this line, there's opportunities for white to attack rook to h5 or rook to h4, sorry, and then queen to h6. I'm not. No. The story behind my name is I'm an application developer, and I wrote the Cop Review app, which is basically an approach to law enforcement reform in the United States. If you guys want to take a look, you're always welcome to download the Cop Review app. But yeah, this Cop Review app is something that I wrote, so I figured I would make that my stream name. Anyways, that's the story behind the name. Feel free to get the app or not get the app, but yeah, just basically the story behind the name is I wrote that app, the one that's referred to in my screen name. So yeah, that's the reasoning behind it. I'm not a professional chess player. I don't know if that's really a job, but I guess maybe at the very highest level. But yeah, I am an application developer. So yeah, I mean, basically, if you're interested in the app, it exists. It's on the Apple Store, the Google Store, but up to you. But it was an important thing for me professionally. So if you have any interest, feel free to take a look. Rook to e3, bishop to e6, h3. Yeah, so here basically looking for improvements for white. All right, cool. We're up to 5. Here we go. 5 on this tournament. If anyone wants to play, here it is. Yeah, Badster, whoever, if anyone's familiar, or if anyone needs to, get into the tournament or wants to get into the tournament starts at 45 after. Yeah. Also, you need to be a member of the club to play the tournament. Just so you know, that's how chess.com works. But yeah, let me just give you the link for that. Here you go. This is the club link. So chess 960 is basically completely regular chess, except that except that the pieces are changed in the order on the back rank. If you want to castle, move the king over the rook that you're trying to castle with. That's something that I learned. But yeah, basically they're very interesting games. Chess 960. They teach how to play positionally. They teach they have all the normal tactics. But what has value about it is that it really lets you kind of sidestep theory. The idea behind it was that Fischer didn't like theory, or he thought that theory was taking the fun out of chess or the skill out of chess. So he switched to this Fischer random chess 960 variation. You know, it's not theory based. It's not a theory based game. It's a tactics and you know, place game. We'll see. Honestly, it's an interesting variation. If anyone's interested, feel free to play it. Again, this is just experience, or you know, this is just an experiment. You know, I took whatever tournaments people were interested in playing, and took their recommendations and went with it. If it starts, then you know it's good. If it doesn't start, then you know, and then we can take that off the list of things that we'll do and play Blitz instead. That works. Um, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think it's interesting. It's just interesting. It's chess with a slightly different focus. It values slightly different things. Yeah, okay, GM Nahonium. So what I would do there is play Puzzle Battle, Puzzle Rush, do a lot of tactical study. Does Chess 960 help your normal chess? You know, good question. I think it does. I think, you know, one of the things that you can draw from Chess 960 is you can understand kind of how you know, how positional play works in chess. I think it's helpful in that, you know, in that aspect. You know, it basically can make you understand how to do you know, it can basically make you understand how to do you know, positional attacks better. You know, it basically shows you have to have a plan. Basically, it's still a planning game. It involves normal pawn structures, but the thing about the normal pawn structures in those games is that they you know, is that they basically you know, it doesn't have the normal piece backing to it. So yeah, it's basically a principled based game. It also involves yeah, it involves yeah, I guess what I would say about that, Felion, is that it's sort of yeah, it is interesting. I mean, we'll see what happens when chess gets solved. You know, I'm actually really curious. I'm sort of wondering how Chess 960 falls into the solution of chess, like how those two things relate to each other. Because if chess gets solved, I wonder if Chess 960 will also be solved. You see what I'm saying? I don't know. That's the piece between Chess 960 and the solution of chess that I think is really interesting. Like, yeah. I mean, to be fair, I guess what I would say is that at the highest level, computers are already better than all the people, but it's not yet solved. Uh, but yeah, a human can't remember everything. That's what I would say, Coder, is the question there. So yeah, anyways, if anyone wants to join the tournament, we're up to 6 players. If anyone wants to get a feel for what Chess 960 is, this is the tournament link, and yeah, we have 6 we have 6 players so far, and we'll see how many we get. If it doesn't start, we can just switch to regular Blitz, so no tragedy there. Anyways, streamer comedy. Okay, let's figure this out. Knight to f3, d5, g3. And basically here, you know, this is the King's Indian attack, double fianchetto variation. Okay, cool. Queen to d2, rook to e8, bishop to h6. We saw bishop to h6 is not as good, or bishop to h8 is not as good as bishop takes h6 here, but it's a fine play. It's not significantly worse. Knight to c3, a6, castles queenside, c6, and basically here white's a little better. Rook to e1, white can push on e4. And the plan for white, I think, is just going to be e4 equalizing this weak e2 pawn against the strong d5 pawn. I think that makes sense as a standalone strategy. So yeah, e4, cool. That's correct. Interesting. But yeah, I wonder about chess 960 because you know you can solve chess, but I feel like you have to run the same analysis. You know, if you solve chess, you would run the same analysis 960 times for chess 960. That's what's kind of interesting. Anyways, 6 players here for the chess 960 tournament. E4, pawn takes e4, knight takes e4, knight takes, rook takes. Rook's basically white's position looks fine, and with bishop to e6, you have an opportunity. So what is this? Rook takes e6, f takes e6, bishop to h3. Okay, so rook takes, pawn takes, bishop to h3. White's not going to be able to defend this pawn, and more than that, you know, what's this For me, it's about 9:30. Uh, interesting claim, Badster. I'm not sure about that. I do think that chess lessons will be completely free. Bowden's mate, man, how do you know this stuff? Bowden's mate, basically Bowden's mate with bishop takes e6, facing e6, facing on g8. I didn't know what it was called, but I recognized the pattern. But this was a good opportunity for white. So the first opportunity really for white to improve came with rook takes e6 as opposed to a3 here. Pawn takes and then bishop to h3. That was your tactic. That was the way to improve this. So yeah, yeah, no, I think that's the goal, Slasher. Being a developer is fun. I think being a developer is a way better, vocation than chess. It's very easy to make a living as a developer. Very difficult to make a living playing chess. So, I think being a developer pushes the world forward as well. So, anyways, that's what I would say on that topic. Slasher. Definitely pushing things towards a development idea. Basically move towards development and away from chess if you can. Chess is a lot of fun, but developing is a lot of fun too. And developing, you actually you add a lot more value to kind of the world, I think. But anyways, knight to g5, bishop to h3. That's the opportunity for white. Going forward on this game, rook to e1. Knight takes, queen takes, bishop to g7, queen to h4, and yeah, I think that again pressure on e6 is the move for white. In terms of improving this game for white, I think white gets a huge advantage. Runs into the end game. Okay, cool. Black resigns. Nice. And yeah, I guess what I would say is that this situation for white, knight f3 d5. All of this opening made sense. It was symmetrical. It was within opening theory. I'm surprised that there's not any opening or games here still, but I guess queen to d2 is a little bit awkward. I think this was a good plan, e4. And really, the biggest improvement, I think white overall, white didn't play a perfect game, but played a relatively accurate game. The real idea for white, the real big improvement in this game came with rook takes e6, pawn takes e6, bishop to h3. This forces a win for white. This is a key opportunity. This e3 pawn, or this e6 pawn is practically impossible to defend for black. So bishop to h3 facing on e6, that's the move. If queen to d5 potentially, I think that, or say queen to d5, I think you can play either queen to e1 or rook to e1 or queen to e2. But big threats on e6, and those threats threatening Bowden's mate. Yeah, exactly. I forgot that it was Bowden's mate, but yeah, exactly right. This is really interesting. So bishop facing on e6, not pawn to g4. I don't think. I think that the so in order to castle in chess 960, you drag the king over the rook that you're interested in castling with. I'll show off the first game or so. I'm gonna play in this tournament. If anyone wants to play me in chess 960, it should be interesting. It definitely comes down to planning and tactics. Those are the two biggest things. But I will be able to show off. I'll make sure that I castle in my games, and I'll show you guys how to do it. So yeah. So black can defend against the against Bowden's mate with g4. So yeah, so let's see. Rook takes e6 here, pawn takes e6, bishop to h3. What? Knight to g4 or? I mean, none of these opportunities look particularly good for black. I think white's pressure on h6 is g6, g5. But I don't think he has time, really. I think just here, like rook to e1. Anyways, this is a really interesting game. I think White's move all made sense. Queen to d2 wasn't in the opening book, but it makes sense in the context of really wanting to castle queenside. But yeah, overall, this rook takes e6 was the opportunity for white. So white has this tactical improvement. I think white's game is fine. I don't think there were any big strategic errors. Just rook takes, pawn takes, bishop to h3, and this is a better line for white. Anyways, very interesting. Yeah, good game, good playing. Good playing by Streamer Comedy. And yeah, let's take a look at another one. All right, on to the last game for analysis for today. Our tournament starts in and this is a Philion's game. Cool. So this is a Philion. We've been waiting for this for a while. This is Philion versus Maxime. Cool. The tournament starts in 10 minutes. If anyone wants to play, here is the Chess 960 tournament. Again, I took Chess 960 because you know it's all right. If honestly, if people aren't into 960, we'll just change that one on the schedule. If it's fun for people, then play. If it's not fun, then this one will not start, and then we can start the Blitz tournament at 10 instead. But yeah, it will be so yeah, just play if it's fun for you. No pressure. But we'll just remove it from the list basically if people don't join. So it's either way very helpful. Yeah, so this is a Philion's game. All right, so since we've got people here, I'll show you. I think everyone's learned about this, or a lot of people. Yeah, I could take a look at a Chess 960 game, Lauren. But yeah, just so you guys know, here's the FIDE titling system. I think you guys, if every, we'll see, Aphelion. I'll cover it as quickly as we can, but yeah, let's take a look. This is Aphelion playing on the World Chess Live. We'll see if this one starts. If it doesn't start, then we'll have another 15 minutes to fill Aphelion. So yeah. If anyone wants to become a FIDE master, Aphelion is a FIDE master, just so we know. Aphelion and I, from what I can tell, are the only two titled players on the stream. Aphelion got his Arena Candidate Master from the FIDE Chess arena. If you guys are interested in getting an official FIDE sanctioned title, if you guys know, these are the FIDE titles. Yeah, if you guys want to, if you want to become a titled FIDE player, you can get your FIDE title. Arena GM. This is an official FIDE title, and yeah, I have the Arena GM. It was my first FIDE title. I got this in the last month or so. And Aphelion is also an Arena CM. So we are the only two titled players on the stream, I believe. And if anyone else is interested, you can get the FIDE Arena. It costs 25 euros a year. Plus, a few more dollars if you want to get your actual title. The titles, I think, range in cost. But yeah, I'm an AGM. I got my first FIDE title. And if anyone else wants a FIDE title, it does, though. You can ask for it to show up on the wall chart. You can't pay to win, but you can basically pay for a FIDE title now. You have to have your rating above a certain level, and not everyone's in that level. But if anyone's interested in getting their first FIDE master title, I have a FIDE master title. Aphelion has a FIDE master title, and this is how you get them. So, anyways, I would recommend learning them. It's one of 12. But yeah, I will. I'll. How about this? How about I will ask in the next FIDE rated tournament that I play. That my AGM title shows up on the interesting. So what happened here? Sorry, my computer refed out for a second. But if anyone else is interested in getting a FIDE title, I'm gonna ask in my next FIDE tournament for a FIDE title, and yeah, I'll take a picture of it. Yeah. So I'm gonna ask for it for sure. It's a FIDE title. What are basically what are they gonna do? So anyways, I will request it. If I can get that AGM on the wall chart, I will. And yeah, I'll send it over. Anyways, this is kind of amazing. So FIDE titles used to be very difficult to get, but now you have this completely new route. So I'm gonna take a picture of it, see what happens, and go from there. All right, cool. So here's Aphelion playing against an FM, and I am pretty curious about this. But yeah, Aphelion's playing against an FM. If you want to play in the tournament, there's 5 players in now. If not, we can just play Blitz starting at 10 a.m. All right, let's take a look. This is Aphelion's game. E4, E6, D4, D5. And let's see. Can we actually get let's get the computer analysis going. What's going on here? So this is Aphelion's game. Yeah. So e4, e6, d4, d5, d5. Okay, cool. So White's got his opportunity to play here. I have unlimited analysis. I didn't know it was limited. I have a premium membership. That's the thing that I would say. I have, because I'm a titled player, chess.com gives me a free membership. I don't have any particular, yeah, so I'm a titled player. But yeah, if anyone wants to get a FIDE title, that's your way to do it. But it doesn't count on chess.com at this point. Anyways, e4, e6, d4, d5, e5. Basically, Aphelion plays the advanced French. Cool. I mean, largely yes. That's why this stream exists. GM is to basically make it so that improving people's, advancing people's chess. Chess lessons cost a lot of money. So making a free option for chess players, I think, is big. Your opponent is rated 1302, but he's an OTB FM. Crazy. So Aphelion, that is actually really cool, Aphelion. I didn't know that. That's pretty epic. But yeah, so basically d4 and e5, Aphelion advanced French. C5, c3, knight to c6, knight to f3. But yeah, if anyone wants the secret route in to getting a FIDE title, here it is. This will get you an official FIDE master title. And Aphelion's got one, and I've got one. And not that many people know about them. So yeah, just an idea. That is really cool. That is really cool, Aphelion. Yeah, there's another one I can think of. There's a guy named Tanuj Vasudeva that has a FIDE title. But yeah, some classic stuff. But yeah, Coder, I'll take a picture. I'll take a picture. Of the AG of my AGM next to my name in the next FIDE tournament that I play. I'll request it. It doesn't show up on chess.com. Chess.com, for whatever reason, doesn't involve the full FIDE titles. But yeah. Okay. Hmm. Okay, so I messed this up. This is actually a standard Blitz tournament. I see what happened. Okay, alright, we'll cancel this. My bad. We'll see what, we'll fix this. My bad. Thanks very much for catching that, and, we'll take, if anyone's really interested, we'll start it. 1 second. There we go. Alright, yeah, this is funny. My bad. I guess we'll just have to go overtime today. That's fine with me. Okay. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Here's the tournament. 1 second. Let me just resend the link. All right, so here's what happened. We're gonna take a look at Aphelion's game. Aphelion's an FM, but yeah, extra lessons for everyone today. Yeah, if anyone wants to play this Live 960, here's your link. My bad. Thank you very much for catching that. I messed that up. My fault. But yeah, if anyone, everyone should get in. The tournament starts in 15 minutes. Sorry about that. Let's talk a little bit more about the FIDE titles. Everyone likes the FIDE titles. If anyone else wants to sign up for the FIDE chess arena, this is your arena. This is the way to get a FIDE title. Nobody knows about it, and I think a lot of people should know about this. Get a FIDE title. Why not? For me, in my mind, like FIDE titles are a good way to. And thank you all very much for quickly rejoining. That too. This starts in 14 minutes now. My fault. I misset the tournament. I wish I'd caught that earlier. Thanks to whoever caught that. I appreciate it. Yeah, tournament starts in 13 minutes. I'm not sponsoring FIDE, but I would say that if you want to become a master, this is the quickest route. I think they might send you a paper. I'm not sure about that. But yeah, definitely not. I'm not sponsoring FIDE. Just to be clear. But I think that this is, one of those things is like, how do you become a master? How do you get any, how do you get any recognition? What I would say is like you have these opportunities to, but yeah, to be clear, I'm not sponsoring FIDE. But what I'm saying is what's cool about this is that, sometimes opportunities emerge. Sometimes there are inefficiencies in systems. Like to me, like, in my opinion, chess lessons are a huge inefficiency. But yeah, sometimes there are just opportunities to really get something unusual. And this is a case where, you basically can become a master as designated by the World Chess Federation by joining their server and playing 100 games or even 50 games over a certain level. The FIDE Master, the old FIDE Master title was very difficult to achieve. But this one, this is a different route, and it's a new route. So not many people know about this, but if you'd actually like to become a titled FIDE player, something that probably in the old days, maybe 1.1% of people, like 1 out of 1,000 chess players got to do, this is your opportunity. In the old days, getting a FIDE title was probably something available to 1 out of 1,000 chess players, and here's your opportunity to do it now. I'm not a CM or an FM. I'm an AGM. I'm an AGM. That's the only FIDE title that I have. I'm a USCF Life Master, USCF Original Life Master. But yeah, I don't play enough FIDE. I think I played maybe one FIDE. Very very few FIDE rated tournaments. So yeah, AGM is the title. But yeah, is my best FIDE title. So yeah, if you guys want, in the old days, about 0.1% of players got to be FIDE titled masters. Now you guys can all become FIDE titled masters. Or within you have to meet the thresholds required, but you can become FIDE titled masters there as well. Anyways, yeah, AGM, IGM. I don't even know if IGM is still a thing. IGM used to be an international grandmaster. I think that title might be a little bit I'm not sure. I haven't heard anyone referred to as an IGM in anything written after about 1960 or so. But yeah, this is your opportunity. Become a FIDE master if you want. This is your FIDE. This is your FIDE title. So feel free. Go get your AGM. Go get your AIM. This is my FIDE title. AGM. It's not easy to get. It took me a while. But yeah, feel free. Just so you know, this is your FIDE title. This is the way to become a master, as rated by, as given by the highest level chess authority in the world. And yeah, feel free. Here's the tournament link. And now that we've got a few extra minutes, let's take a look at Aphelions game. I didn't, to be completely honest, Coder. It took me probably a week to get the full thing together. But yeah, this is really cool. This is Aphelion beating an FM, like not just an AFM, but an FM. That's pretty cool. Yeah, let's look. Okay, so E4, E6, D4, D5, E5. So basically here, yeah, IGM. Interesting. Well, FIDE is the World Chess Authority. This is your quickest route to become a FIDE master. And yeah, if you're interested in getting a FIDE title, this I think is your quickest route to do it. Anyways, E5, C5, C3. Okay, so this I think is a line, basically against the French exchange, C5 is one of the more common lines. It's the most common line against the French exchange. C3 is the correct book line here too. Knight to C6, knight to F3, queen to B6, and then white has a number of choices here. Here's really where the split is. And just so we know, this is the Paulson attack. Basically, with knight to f3 here, c3 and knight to f3, this is the Paulson attack out of the advanced variation. We're up to 9 players, and we will get started soon. So yeah, cool. So b4 here. So knight to c6, queen to b6. Interesting. That is actually really interesting, Lauren. There's a long history behind this, but what I'm saying is that the title system, has opportunities that periodically come up, and for me, getting my first FIDE title is a cool thing. The lowest level title requires, the ratings are a little bit different on the FIDE chess server, but yeah. I guess what I would say is that opportunities to become a chess master, becoming a chess master is only something that can be defined by a governing body, right? What does being a chess master mean? Normally being a chess master is determined by, either the United States Chess Federation or a national chess federation or the World Chess Federation. But here, the World Chess Federation is giving an opportunity for a broader array of people to become masters. So here, this is your opportunity to become a master. If you get one of these titles, you'll become a master as determined by the chess governing body, and you can always say from then on you're a master as defined by the world governing chess body. So yeah, just to think about it. That's why I think these are cool. I got mine. Aphelion got his, and we're both chess masters now. Anyways, queen to b6, bishop to e2, c takes d4, c takes d4, yeah. Anyways, these things change over time. Well, not really though, because it says FIDE title. It says FIDE Arena, but more importantly, I just draw from the FIDE the FIDE titles page. This FIDE titles page is a these are FIDE titles. Why else would it be on the FIDE titles page? It's a FIDE title. My first FIDE title. I'm rolling with it, and I like it. So yeah. Well, yeah. Also, Coder. If you sign up for this, you get. Yeah. Well, it does though. Here, let me show you. Here, I can show you mine. So online arena grandmaster. Here it is. They actually give you recognition on your page. There it is. Yeah, arena grandmaster. I don't know why they say FIDE title none. The FIDE title goes along with this arena grandmaster, but it's a title. It's a master title. It's on the FIDE titles page. It's a FIDE title. Otherwise, they wouldn't do it. Anyways, let's look at this. So basically, this is Aphelion's game. Yeah, I think that's for ODB titles as opposed to just overall titles. Pawn takes d4, pawn takes d4, and then white's got opportunities. So knight to c3, b3, bishop to d3, yeah. By the way, knight, there's 9 chess players here. Yeah, no, that's what I'm asking for. The next FIDE tournament I play, I'm requesting that AGM go up on the wall chart. It's a FIDE title, so I'm gonna ask for that to happen, and we'll see what they do. But it's gonna be it's gonna be on the wall. I'm requesting that it's gonna be on the wall chart the next few FIDE rated tournaments that I play. So that will be interesting. Queen to b6, bishop to e2, pawn takes, knight to h6. Cool. All right, so this is the Paulson attack. Not theory that I know super well. To be honest, the French advance, I don't really know. It's not. I play the French main line. I don't know this super well, but it actually seems pretty reasonable. Basically, having this pawn chain, having this maintained d4 and e5 structure of the pawns, seems reasonable. Pawn takes, knight to h6, a3. Okay, so here I guess I would say castles, bishop to d3, opportunities for white. Main line here, b3 or knight to c3. But yeah, I think a3. A3 is not the main line here. So I think this would go with the. This would go on the topic of opening. Moves to remove from your openings. I think. um, well, actually, they say that. There is a take a look. Aphelion found this page. I think it's the FIDE manual page. But yeah, there's a FIDE manual page that says uh, over the board. Um, oh, hey, look, it's an HTTP site. Their certificate is expired. Uh, Interesting. And yeah, let's look. This Yeah, so let's look. Look at this. This is the so NordVPN. But check this out. Look, it says FIDE uh it is important to remind that official FIDE title is noted on the player's profile card on the FIDE website, which it was, and precedes a player's name in online and over-the-board competitions as well. This is the line that I'm focused on. Yeah, over-the-board competitions, that's what I'm asking for. That's what I'm going to be looking at. Yeah, acknowledged in over-the-board competitions as well. That looks pretty straightforward to me, doesn't it? At least that's what I'm thinking, you know? Yeah, so we're look at this. Look, over the board competitions as well. That's what I'm saying. It should be in the over the board competitions. I'm gonna request it in my next tournament. That's what I'm saying. And then I'll take a picture and show the stream. So anyways, that is pretty interesting. Knight to h6, knight to c3, b3, bishop to d3. These are all the mainline opportunities for white. I think this a3 gets basically this causes problems because instead knight to c3, b3. Basically, in this idea, white's going to have opportunities to play here. But a3 is 1 out of 339 games, so less than 1%, and then it shifts the eval like 2 points against you. So I think you can't play a3. But yeah, look at this line, over the board competitions as well. That's what I'm thinking. Anyways, a3, knight to f5, castles, knight takes, queen takes d4, and then queen takes, bishop to d4, bishop to d3. And yeah, I think this move sort of steered white in the wrong direction. Let's take a look. And yeah, the tournament's about to start. If anyone wants to join, here's the link to the tournament. Sorry about that. Here we go. We're at 9 players. We'll get started today. But if anyone else wants to join the Chess 960 tournament, please feel free to join. We've got about 10 players. Interesting. Should be interesting. I'm gonna play a few rounds. Hopefully, I don't think I'm gonna play the whole thing because we'll see. But I'm gonna play a few rounds. So if anyone wants to play me in Chess 960, I'll be playing at least the first couple rounds here. And yeah. Anyways, Aphelion, I think your opportunity for improvement, was a pretty straightforward one. I think you get good chances after this. F6 was a pretty serious blunder. Yeah, all right. So you capitalized well, with 3 pieces against a rook. Yeah. But yeah, so I think that a3 deviating from theory. Again, if you've gone through analysis, like I think that this we'll talk a little bit later after the stream. I have a few other things that I want to kind of talk about on this opening. But basically this early this early a3 was a 2-point error here. So anyways, we're running into the time barrier. The tournament is starting. Good luck, everyone. 10 players so far. I'll send the link out again. Everyone who plays gets the and I'm streaming my game as well, just to be clear. I'll show you guys all how to castle. I think learning how to castle in this game is kind of tricky. Just so you know. Okay, so everyone's seeing the basic idea of this of this play. So here's what you do to castle. You play king and move it to where the rook that you want to castle with is. So this should queenside castle. This should move the king to c8, moving the king over the d8 rook and playing there. That moved the king to c8 and castled queenside. Just so you guys know, I think that's a good thing to know here. And yeah. So if anyone else wants to play, feel free. Yeah. All right, the arena is started. I am playing Loved Edinburgh. We're up to 11 players, and if anyone else wants to join, everyone who joins gets points towards the monthly series. Here, I'll share the link again, just for the sake of it. But yeah, up to 11 players, and up to 11. Yo-Yo Adrian with an early first round win. So the Chess 960 survives one more week at least. But if anyone wants to play the Chess 960 Blitz, here's an opportunity. There's a lot of really interesting things that go on. What we were doing, what me and my opponent have decided to do was play quickly into like a fairly normal looking game. By this point, it sort of looks like real chess again. Oh, I don't know what you're referring to, Lauren. To be completely honest, I think you're fine. Yeah, I wouldn't worry about that. I wouldn't worry about that, Lauren. Anyways, at least I didn't see you say anything like that, but whatever. Anyways, knight to g5, knight to f3 seems like a tactical play for black. But now we're sort of in kind of an unusual game situation. It would be weird to have a pawn structure that was this closed and and yet still. Um, so this is an unusual pawn structure matched with. It's really weird, basically. A lot of trading, a lot of pieces off the board with not many pawns having been traded. I'm gonna get threats on e5. Yeah, this is a 960 game. This started off as 960. By this point, it sort of looks like a regular position, right? At least to me. Now it's like a rook and pawn endgame. No worries, GM. Thanks for joining the tournament. Um, Everyone who plays the tournament's going to have points for the monthly series. Thanks for joining. White really wants to trade rooks. Yeah, 960 is unusual. That's true. Did I just? I might have just blundered. I'm not sure. Oh, actually, no. Okay, I'm all right. All right, I got a lucky game. Good game. Good game. Loved Edinburgh. Thanks for joining. Thank you very much for joining the tournament. Good game, good game. Yeah, and if anyone else wants to get in, I got lucky with that one. GG, GG. Very interesting game. There's the tournament. I was probably gonna play like maybe two more rounds, but if anyone else wants in, we've gotten the tournament off the ground here, which I'm happy about. So, chess 960, will do for at least one more week. And yeah, yeah, we'll see. Chess 960 is really interesting, but it's complicated and it's a variant, so we'll see. As long as there are people, we'll keep running them. Okay. SWWI with a win. All right, I think I'm gonna play one more game. I'm playing one more, and then we'll call it. All right, good luck, Willem. Thanks very much for joining in the tournament. And I want to show you guys another one. One of the weird things that can happen in. So let's look at this situation. Basically, this situation has the king on b1 and rooks on a1 and c1. And I just want to show you guys kind of the most extreme thing that can happen with castling in Fisher Random or Chess 960. So here's like the crazy castling situation. Here's the one I was really curious about. Look, so the king's stuck between a1 and c1, and here what's really nuts is that you can play castle. If you move the king to c1, right? The king is going to get relocated all the way to g1 and f1. So this is just like one of the cool things that can happen in Chess 960. One of the things that makes it kind of a crazy game is that if you move king to c1 here, the king's going to go to g1 and the rook's going to go to f1. So like it bounced all the way from over here to over there. Is I don't know. I think that's cool. It can be a really cool defensive tactic as well. If I started attacking on the king side here, I would have to basically do it quickly, or the king's going to go to a g8 and f8. It can totally change the dynamic of the game, which I think is pretty funny. Yeah, they are. They are actually. That is true. That's a good point by Lauren. Is that hypermodern systems like cautious play? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense in Chess 960. Now we've actually reached a position. This sort of looks like real, or this sort of looks like traditional chess to me, basically. And queen to e6 was a good tactic by Black as well. I basically needed to sack the g4 pawn to protect the h3 knight. I mean, I don't know. To be completely honest, hypermodern systems are. I think hypermodern systems are a good cautious option in chess, and that's why they're played in Fisher Random or not Chess 960 because, um, yeah, I think that hypermodern systems can be a very good defensive option. They'll provide the ability to not hang pieces, which is really what you're looking for in Chess 960. In Chess 960, the positions are all so unfamiliar that you sort of want to play quietly. So they're quiet, basically, is the point. Another thing I've forgotten about streaming my games is that everyone can see the pre moves, or you can signal the pre moves. Just had forgotten about that, which is kind of funny. Good game, Willem. Good game. Thanks for the game. I think I'm gonna wrap the stream. I'm having a good time, but yeah, I think these tournaments, good luck to everyone. And yeah, I'll post. There's still like time for about 3 or 4 more games. But yeah, yeah, I think good luck to everyone. This should be a very interesting tournament. Thanks everyone for being here. Next stream is at 9:35 p.m. Eastern tonight, and that's in about 11 hours from now or so. But thanks everyone for being here. Look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I will get the tournament constructed for the week. And yeah, we'll send the results of this tournament when they become available. But thank everyone for being here. Thanks all for joining the stream. It's really nice to see everybody. Have a good one, Abraham. Have a good one, Lauren. Have a good one to everybody who joined, Willem, everybody. Thanks all for participating. Thanks all for sending your games. And actually, you know what? Let's go over, or actually, Aphelions playing. I was going to go over Aphelions game a little bit more, but yeah, Aphelion, thank you very much for sending the game, and I'll send a few more insights on that game to you in a minute. Thanks very much, everybody, for joining. Thanks all for being here, and have a good day, everyone. Next stream's in about 11 hours. Thanks. Have a good one. Bye.